What do you hate about it?
I hate that it literally feels like it could fall apart tomorrow. You know, it
Hmm.
just does. I tell my wife all the time, I'm like, this could be done. This could be done tomorrow, and I could like have to go get a job. And in reality, that's probably not true, but it just feels that way.
A lot of entrepreneurs feel that way. A lot of us, we just feel like, dude, this could just be done tomorrow.
Yeah.
These three things happen. I'm done. I'm out. You've heard of a side hustle, right? Something you do on the side to make you more money while you focus on something else. Well, the thing about side hustles is they're supposed to stay on the side. It's kind of in the name. But what happens when you wake up one day and your side hustle is generating $50,000 a month? Even better, what happens when your side hustle is making $50,000 a month, but you're about to graduate with your MBA and there's this social expectation that you'll get a real job or buy a business? What do you say to your wife at that point? Well, that's exactly what happened to today's guest. Welcome to another episode of Niconomics. This is the show for entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs who are curious to know how other businesses work. I'm your host and Chief Curiosity Officer, Nicholas Haluski. I've owned and operated more than a dozen businesses, generating $30 million a year in revenue and employing more than 300 people. And on today's episode, I sit down with James Lincoln. He's the founder of a digital marketing agency, Goodly Growth. And I'm obsessed with just one question. How did James, this 27-year-old with no experience, who was getting his MBA at the time, manage to build a $50,000 a month digital agency as a side hustle? Let's find out together. Okay, guys, we're going to get back to the show in just 1 second. But first, a message from a sponsor who is me. Oh, it's me because I'm doing the show for free. Listen, I want to give you $100. All you have to do is this. Go to Apple or Spotify. Give me 5 stars. Write a review. Screenshot that review, send it to me, nick@cofounders.com, and you will be entered to win a $100 Amazon gift card. Every 4 episodes, I am going to choose a winner at random, and I'm going to do this 5 times. $500 for 5 stars. I just made that up, and it's what I'm calling it. Please go to Apple or Spotify, leave a review, screenshot it, send it to me, nick@cofounders.com, and you'll be entered to win a $100 Amazon gift card. All right, let's get back to the show. All right, James, welcome to Niconomics. I'm freaking stoked to have you on. I know you called in before, but now we're like deep diving into your business. For people who don't know, tell us really quickly, what is your business and how do you make money?
Yeah. Stoked to be here, dude. My business is called Goodly Growth. We're a digital marketing agency. We do local SEO for home services businesses, and we make money by helping these home service businesses get more leads, right? They get more jobs off of Google.
You're just SEO. You're not doing any pay per click or anything else. You're just doing SEO for these companies?
Just SEO. I actually, in the last month, launched a separate agency with a partner from my MBA program doing paid ads. So we've got 2 different companies
Cool.
that serve different verticals. I don't know why I felt like it'd be better to separate them out and be like, yeah, we got a paid ads company over here. Maybe it's like the wannabe Nick Huber and me. That's like, we're just gonna have different companies for different things. But yeah, so just launched that a month ago.
Do I know him? Do I know the MBA partner?
Hunter, I think you do. Hunter.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
You and I originally met, gosh, I don't know, probably almost a year ago at this point. Maybe not a year ago, 8 months ago.
Yeah.
So talk about the launching of your agency, because you haven't been around that long, right?
No, I was just doing the math. It's been like 17 months. I say 17 months. It's technically been a little longer than that, right? So if I were to like go back and give you the short version of everything, I decided to come back and get an MBA. Like I was down in Texas working in software portfolio management. I'd done a startup when I finished my undergrad, had a baby, and was like, oh, I'm going to go get a real job and start a career. And I loved that job. Like that was an incredible job. You know what I mean? Like phenomenal people looking out for me, phenomenal opportunities, just like great place to work.
What was
But
it?
it didn't. So I worked for Baylor Scott and White Health. They're like a top 10 nonprofit health system in the US. It's like big
Okay.
health system. For anybody that knows about health systems, Epic is like Epic
Yep.
Systems. It's out of Madison, Wisconsin. They're like the big
Yep. Electronic medical record.
EHR. Yep,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So them and Cerner. So Baylor Scott and White was an Epic shop. I started there as an Epic analyst, and then it goes to show the value of having like people in your corner. I had a guy that I had cold emailed off of like the BYU alumni database that was a director down there. I had a job offer in 48 hours, right, through this guy. And I moved my family down to Texas, and like he took care of me and
Wow.
helped me get settled. And as the company as we went through COVID, they did a massive outsourcing of IT, and he was retained. So like they laid off like 95% of like their 1,500 person IT staff, and I was retained on a team of 12 at the company to kind of oversee the portfolio now that it was managed all out of house, right? So they needed an in-house team to manage portfolio. So I did a lot of like vendor relationship management and relationship management. I've worked in oncology and cardiology and transplant, and so I worked with all of the leaders across the system in those areas. It like literally was an unbelievable opportunity and like crazy. Like people told me I was crazy to leave, but I'm just like, man, I have an itch, and this isn't quite scratching it. And I love the people I work with. I made great money. I was like a 27-year-old kid with a psych degree, making like 100K a year, living in Texas with a
Yeah.
$1,500 a month mortgage. I'm like, literally, we were living the life.
But you decided to go back and get your MBA. You went back to BYU, got your MBA. At what point during your program were you like, I've got health experience, I'm going to start a digital agency?
Well, it actually started before the program. I had a business partner in the first business I started, and we were doing a review software for small businesses, right? So we built this little software that helped people get reviews back when that was like kind of a cool space. Everything's kind of consolidated to a few big players now, but
What do you
it was
mean
great
review?
back then. So like the software was a really, really like lightweight software that we built that was like you put in a customer information. So like you go clean someone's carpet and you say, hey, I cleaned Nick's carpet. Here's his phone number. You put that into the system, and then it sends you a text message, and it sends you a follow-up text message and a follow-up text message that's like, hey, here's a link to leave a review on Google.
Yeah, okay. So like the Google My Business or the Google Business Profile
Exactly.
reviews. Got it. Okay.
And it helped people get way more reviews, right? Like that action of texting and giving them a link made it like so much easier to leave a review. So I'd like learned a little bit about SEO and digital marketing and Google through that process. And my business partner in that, that still exists today. We still have people on our software. It doesn't make much money, but that business partner and I like parted ways. And he called me up and was like, dude, I've been doing this little agency thing. You got to do it. Like it's easy money and you'd be way better at it than I would. Like you should totally be doing this, dude. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do an agency. Like agencies aren't for me. Agencies are the worst. Yeah. It'd be good to have some cash flow during the MBA program. So I'm like, it was July of 22. And I started the little agency. I did it for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I got one customer and then shut it down when I was like, got to the MBA. Cause I'm like, this is too much work with one
Yeah.
customer. It's like too much work. And I'm like doing school full time. And then it wasn't until February of 23 that I actually jumped back into it. And in that span, so from September to February, I went to get my MBA because I wanted to buy a business. You know what I mean? Like that was my thing. And from September to February, in that time period, I had a business under contract. It was a woodworking business. They built like little wooden boxes that were like gift boxes. It was a great deal. It came through the MBA program. Classmates' aunt ran it, and her husband had died, and like she needed to sell it. Had it under contract, and it fell through because it was like really high customer concentration, and the customer said, "We're not going to buy any more boxes if you sell."
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, I think they were like strong arming her a little bit. They ended up buying it from her like 8 months later for pennies. So that was kind of a bummer for
Oh
her.
my gosh.
But it fell through in January. And I was like, man, that was kind of a bummer. Good experience though. But I'm like, I'm not financially in the place I need to be to go buy a business like I thought I was, right? Like I needed to go get a home equity line of credit. I was going to have to borrow money from friends and family. I'm like, I need to be in a little bit better spot financially. So I'm gonna set myself up to be able to search for business after the program by starting an agency, just cash flowing. And so that was the motivation to start. I started in February. I actually had gone back to the health system in February as well. And so I was working a full-time job, doing my MBA and starting my agency. And,
Jeez.
uh, and then I left the full-time job in September of 23, finished my MBA in April, this past April, so April 24. And now I'm full-time in the agency.
So tell me about the beginning, the early days of the agency. You start in February. You're like, I want to get some cash so that I can buy a business after I graduate. What did it look like starting it up? Were there some investments up front that you had to do?
Yeah, I'd put 2 grand in, and I'd put that 2 grand in. So like I'd set up kind of the framework for it back the previous summer when I was like, oh, let me give this a try. I put 2 grand in the business. I signed one customer up and like maybe made like $1,200 off that customer. I didn't have a ton of costs. So I think when I like launched in February, maybe I had like 3 grand in the bank, right? Like maybe a little bit less. It was like $2,700. So like minimal investment. I don't know, man. Maybe it's just my philosophy, but I'm like, you just got to sell, right? Like you just have to sell. And you're never going to have a business if you don't sell. So I didn't hire anybody. I didn't build out systems. I just hired a cold caller. I didn't have time to cold call because I'm like working full time and doing the MBA. So I hired a cold caller and just had them cold calling businesses and sending me warm leads, and I would close warm leads.
Tell me about that. Like, how did you get your first customer? Like, literally all the business in the country, or like what businesses were they calling? Was it geographic in nature? How did you identify what the list was that they were even going to call?
I pulled the list off of Google. The nice thing about what I do is I target businesses on Google. So it's like super easy to get their information because they're on Google, right? They're out there for like you to find a carpet cleaner, right? So my father-in-law had some experience, like he's a carpet cleaner. So I had some experience working in his business a little bit. And so I started with a list of carpet cleaners. And we just started cold calling.
In Utah, in like the country, like where?
Yeah, I pulled the East Coast because I have a 518 number. Yeah, I'm from New York. And so I was
Oh,
like,
okay.
oh, if I have a 518 number and I'm calling people, they'll probably answer if it's like close by, right?
Got it. Got it. Okay.
And so my cold caller got set up with like the cold caller uses like local presence dialing regardless. But I was like, oh, I want a
Yeah.
number that like I can dial. And it was like I had something I could talk to those people about. I'm like, yeah, I'm from the East Coast, yada, yada, yada. And so, yeah, we just pulled East Coast carpet cleaners.
How long did it take you to get that first customer?
Not long. I mean, I had my first customer in February. I closed one deal in February.
Nice. Okay.
It's like an $800 a month deal. And I don't know where it fell in February. Maybe it was like the second or third week of February. But yeah, it was within a couple of weeks I got my first customer.
What were you doing for them? So explain a little bit what SEO is, and then kind of what, if your agency does anything specific or niche.
Yeah, so SEO, search engine optimization, the whole point of it is like these search engines, Google namely, right? It's like the only one we focus on, are presenting businesses to people searching for that service. So it's like if you're looking for carpet cleaning, Google determines who you see. And they want to make sure that you, as a customer, right? Nick is the customer of Google. They want to make sure you get reliable information from Google. That's like their whole business model is providing you with good information so you keep coming back to Google. And so they have an algorithm that determines what businesses show up when you search for carpet cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that algorithm is how close they are to you, right? They're not going to show you a carpet cleaner in Florida because you're not in Florida, right? That's
Right.
irrelevant to you. Part of it is how reputable that business is. Like, have other people reviewed that business? Does that business have a website? Does that business have a good website? Does the business offer services pertinent to what you're searching for, right? Like all of that is factored in. And so what we do is we try and like manipulate that algorithm to some extent where we're saying we can optimize this business to show up when Nick is searching for carpet cleaning.
So what are you focusing on? Are you focusing on the keywords on the website? Are you creating content for them? Are you focusing on getting them reviews like you did with your previous company? Where are your focuses as an agency?
Yeah, all the above, right? So getting them reviews is massive. If somebody doesn't have any reviews, like that's the first thing is like they got to get some reviews. You got to have more than 10 reviews. If you have less than 10 reviews, like you're just in no man's land. So you got to get above 10 reviews. You got to have a website that's responsive, like it works on mobile. So if your website isn't designed for mobile nowadays, like Google will ding you. So you got to have a website designed for mobile. We build out obviously the keywords on the site, like carpet cleaning Boise, carpet cleaning Eagle, carpet cleaning, right? Like you got to have
Yeah.
services in cities, right? So that's kind of what it boils down to is you got cities within a service area and you got services that you offer. And so you have to build a website with landing pages for cities, landing pages for services, landing pages for cities and services. And so, you have a business that offers 10 different services to 15 different cities and you got 150 pages you got to build out, right? So it can take some time and we build that over time. That's not like all at once.
Are you also doing content for them? Like, are you writing a blog? Are you posting on social media, or is that separate from SEO?
Yeah, we don't do social. Social isn't true SEO, right? There are some signals that come from social media, but it's mainly like, do you have a page? Like, do you have a page on Facebook? Do you have a page on Instagram? It's less like how active is that page. There are some like really good strategies people can use on social, and actually like what Hunter and I are doing is primarily social media ads. Um, but yeah, it's we do content, right? So we'll post blogs, right? We come up with the content for all the service pages. Businesses will give us like a sense of like what they're offering, do they have any guarantees, yada yada yada, and like we just build out content for those pages.
Is that content static? Is that like, here's what we do? Or is it like a blog where weekly it's updated with a new focus?
Yeah, so the pages are static, right? So like you build out a page for carpet cleaning Boise, right? That's static and like largely doesn't need to be updated all that often. The blogs, like we do post blogs and that'll go up weekly or monthly depending on the level of service.
Talk a little bit about the economics of the business. How do you acquire customers? What does it cost you to acquire those customers? And what's like the lifetime value of those customers?
Up until a couple months ago, I continued only acquiring customers through cold calling. That was just the only method. And frankly, like up until a month and a half ago, I wasn't even planning on being in this business full time. You know, I'm like, oh, this is just run and I'm just gonna like go buy businesses. So a lot of what you're gonna ask me, I'm like, I'm kind of learning a little bit myself and applying some of the things I learned in my MBA program to the business. Cost to acquire a customer, I don't have a great number for you.
Yeah.
I wish I did. You know, frankly, like cost to acquire a customer would just be like all the costs that go into it. So I mean, I have 2 cold callers right now.
That's what I was going to ask you. So last February, you acquired one customer. How much did you pay that cold caller for the month of February
For
last
that
year?
month.
Yeah.
$500. Yeah.
So for that month, it was $500 to acquire one customer, right? You could probably easily extrapolate that over the year where it's like, okay, I paid this much in cold calling and this is how many customers I got. Would $500 to acquire a customer sound like a lot or a little to you? Like, does that sound like it's in the right ballpark?
No, it's in about the right ballpark. Yeah.
Okay.
It's,
So,
you know, anywhere between like 400 to 800, especially because now I've got a commission. I've got commission I pay out to a salesman. Like costs have gone up to acquire customers.
and now that you have a benchmark and you're trying out paid ads, you can actually go and say like, oh, wow, I'm acquiring a customer for $100 on the paid ad side, but 500 for the cold calling. Let's put some more money onto the paid ad. So,
And that's what I found with email marketing. We just launched email marketing probably 2 months ago and are like really trying to ramp it up. I'm going to be able to get in front of so many more business owners. A lower close rate per person contacted, but
more volume.
the cost to exactly, the cost to like
Yeah.
I'm going to be able to reach like my goal like in the next 12 months is to reach 1.4 million business owners, so 120,000 business owners every month, and I'm going to be able to do that for about $3,600 a month. To do that cold calling would cost me about 20 grand.
Jeez. Sheesh. Okay. That's amazing. I can't wait to check in with you in a year and see if you hit 1.4 million business owners.
I know. We'll see. The downside of the email marketing is it costs a lot to get it set up, right? It's not cheap. Where like cold calling is pretty cheap, right? I can pay somebody $500 and they're just going to cold call full time. And email marketing, I've tried it a few times throughout the past 18 months and it's like, it didn't work. And I like stopped doing it. And I tried it again. And it didn't work. And I stopped doing it. Like you got to have your content, like your copy dialed in. You got to have your systems dialed in. You got to be able to send the volume and you have to have good lists. Like it's not as easy as I thought it was going to be.
So when you acquire that customer, like you said, $800 a month was one of the customers that you cited. Is that normal? Like, is that an average $800 a month per customer, or what's the average range of a customer that you have with your agency?
Yeah, I'll actually pull it up. I can tell you exactly what it is. It's not 800. It will get closer to that because
Okay.
again, as I've come in full time, we're making some changes to our pricing. Our average revenue per customer is $382.
Okay. So 382. And how long do your customers stay with you?
There's 2 parts to that question. So what we found is that like lifetime, I've signed up 188 customers over the last 17 months or whatever. About 33% of those customers are no longer customers. So that sounds like really, really high. You know what I mean? That's like, man, a third of your customers out the door. As I dove into the data, I'm coming in here full time, right? So like it was a month ago. I'm like, let me look at how things are going. Anybody that's like, I dove into the data and anybody that stayed longer than a month, if they paid for their second month, that churn rate goes down to 9% lifetime.
Yeah.
So I'm like, which is a much better number. And what we found out was like, we're losing most of our customers that are leaving in the first month. And it's primarily because when they go to cancel whoever they're currently working with, their price gets slashed, or they get convinced to stay, and they're just like, you know what, like I'm actually not going to switch. And that was a customer success problem, onboarding problem. Like we need to be better at retaining those customers.
33% over 17 months isn't terrible. It's, what is that, 2 or 3% a month that you're churning? And so in order to get like your current customers, it would take you, I don't know, what is that, 20 months, 2 years, essentially. So it's not a terrible thing. But like the thing about SEO that I find difficult is that there's a lag in between the amount of work that you put in and the results. So like you may bring on a customer, it may take 6 months for them or even a year for them to see that the changes that you've made to their website are actually putting them first with the Google algorithm. How do you manage that?
It's hard with a lot of the customers we work with. And this is kind of like a product of cold calling, right? Like when you're cold calling, you're primarily getting people that are owner operators, because if they're not, they got gatekeepers. Their job is to keep you from talking to them, right? So a lot of the customers we've signed up have been smaller businesses that are certainly a little more price sensitive, but also like they're low hanging fruit in that they haven't done anything online, right? Like I'm not walking into many scenarios where it's like they've got 100 reviews and they're fourth on Google and they're like, we just got to get into second or third. And it's like, well, what do we do? Like we just have to like rebuild some stuff and let time take effect. We're working with people who like don't even have a Google business profile sometimes, or like they have one, maybe they have three and they don't know how to get into any of them. And it's like, well, let's consolidate. Let's get one. Let's get you set up. And then they just start getting leads because like you hit 10 reviews, and if like people within a mile radius of your business are like inevitably going to find you because you're there now and you're sending the right signals to Google, and you're just like the biggest ranking factor in the algorithm is proximity. So you're always trying to beat proximity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Businesses that are like, I know Utah, so we'll go back. Well, I'm going to stay at Idaho because all I know, Boise and Eagle are the two places I know in Idaho. So let's do Utah, right? Like if you're in Salt Lake City and you want to rank in Provo, right, like 40 miles south, you got no shot, because it's just like you'll never overcome that proximity. And so when these businesses get on board and we're getting set up with Google Business Profiles, like they can actually start seeing results in a month or two because they're not doing anything. And so that's helpful, but you do start to see people that just a little stagnant, and you're right, it does take time to really see the real effects. And for us, that comes down to customer education, right? Customer success and customer education. Like we have to make sure in the sales process they understand what they're signing up for. We have to make sure that we tell them that again in the onboarding process and remind them of that regularly. Like this is an investment. And honestly, what it comes down to is it's like people honestly, they'll just be like, look, this doesn't work. I'm not getting any leads. Like this doesn't work. And it's really simple. I look them in the eye, or I'm on the phone, and I actually don't do this anymore, but like, that this is the play. You just tell them like, it does work, right? If you're seeing a business on Google, it's because they've invested in SEO. And the biggest companies out there are investing millions of dollars in SEO, the Amazons and the Walmarts and the Nikes, and like your competitors are doing this. This is like table stakes almost.
Yeah.
You need to be investing in this, because if you're not, someone else is just going to like jump ahead of you. And when you explain it like that, I think they just have to learn. They have to be educated on it. And a lot of these business owners, especially the small ones, feel like they're getting ripped off because they're sending a checkout every month and nobody talks to them and nobody tells them what happened. And like it gives agencies a bit of a bad name. There's a right way to do it.
Okay, guys, we're going to get back to the show in just 1 second. But first, a message from a sponsor who is me. Oh, it's me because I'm doing the show for free. Listen, I want to give you $100. All you have to do is this. Go to Apple or Spotify. Give me 5 stars. Write a review. Screenshot that review. Send it to me, nick@cofounders.com, and you will be entered to win a $100 Amazon gift card. Every 4 episodes, I am going to choose a winner at random, and I'm going to do this 5 times. $500 for 5 stars. I just made that up, and it's what I'm calling it. Please go to Apple or Spotify, leave a review, screenshot it, send it to me, nick@cofounders.com, and you'll be entered to win a $100 Amazon gift card. All right, let's get back to the show. So if I'm just doing like some back of the envelope math, $500 to acquire a customer. If you're churn 3% a month, your lifetime value is about 36 months. So let's just say $300 a month, 36, you're at like probably $12,000 lifetime value of a customer. That's really, really good return on ad spend. I mean, what is that, 60 times? But What are your bottom line metrics look like? What's profit on a customer per month? Are these SaaS margins where they're 90%, or are these other service businesses where they're like 20%?
Yeah, so gross margins per customer ranges between 88 and 93%. It might come down a little bit from 88 with some of the stuff we're doing now. I think that I've projected out with some of our new service offerings to get down around like 84%. But also we're going to be charging, like we charge like $1,000 to $2,000 a month. We're not charging $300 a month. Like we haven't sold a $300 deal in months and months. So anywhere from 85 to 92%. So yeah, similar to SaaS. Bottom
Net.
line,
Oh,
yeah. Oh, sorry. No, that's gross margin.
that's
Bottom
gross.
line
Yeah.
right now for my business has been about 42 to 50, 51%
Jeez,
net.
that's
And
great.
that's after paying myself, and like I'm
Oh,
on
that's afterpay.
salary. That's after paying myself. So I mean that's like true net. I'm like building this out from the context of like how do you sell a business? I'm like I'm just gonna bake myself into the operations and
Yeah. No, it's
report
smart.
numbers as if I'm an employee.
It's smart. And for those who can't tell, James is in Hawaii. He's spending the month living in Hawaii. So you're obviously doing something right. I'm not in Hawaii.
I know you can't really see. I don't know if you can see the ocean out that far, but it's out there,
I can see the tropical trees though. Okay. Briefly tell me, what's your agency doing per month right now? Like top line.
We just crossed 50K last week.
Congratulations. Dude, that's amazing. Jeez.
Yeah, no, it's great. It fluctuates like in Stripe. Again, dude, you get into a business. I'm like, I've done this less than part-time for so long. And now I'm like getting into it. And I'm like, why does our Stripe MRR not match our like Google Sheets MRR? Right. And so like in Google Sheets, we're at like 50K, but we have some payments that didn't go through and got to go collect some money. And like that happens. You do technically still have some accounts receivable, even if you're on a subscription. So we just crossed 50K in like revenue we should be collecting. We're probably at like 48-ish. That's like hasn't had issues.
Where were you 2 months ago?
I'm going to pull up Stripe here, dude. I'll tell you everything. In March, we were at 36.
36. Jeez. That's a big jump, man. 36 to 50 in 2 months. Where do you think you'll be? What's your goal in a year from now?
My goal at the end of the year is 100K. I don't like the way I've set my goals up. I don't have a 12-month running goal, but I want to be at 100K by the end of the year.
That'd be amazing.
3 years from now, I want to be doing 5 million top line, right? Which would be like double, double, double. I don't know, man. I'm like, I'm in it full time. I still want to buy businesses, right? But I'm like, if I'm going to do this, I just don't really have a mode of like, let's just cash flow and live a great lifestyle. Like, I'm going to build it and like build it. I'm just like, I'm just going to build it. And like, yes, I'm in Hawaii. So maybe I am like a little cash flow, good lifestyle, but this is more of a gift to my wife for putting up with me for the last 2 years.
We'll see how you feel in a year when you're cash flowing $1 million a year. How do you feel about going and putting it all in black to buy a business? All right. I have some rapid fire questions for you to wrap things up. You ready for it?
Yep.
Well, what do you love about this business?
I love just what it's bought me. I just love what it's bought me. It buys me the freedom. Like it's everything that I wanted that I didn't have when I was working at my W-2.
Yeah. Brad. Okay.
It just is. And I loved that job. So it's freedom.
What do you hate about it?
I hate that it literally feels like it could fall apart tomorrow. It just does. I tell my wife all the time, I'm like, this could be done. This could be done tomorrow and I could like have to go get a job. And in reality, that's probably not true, but it just feels that way.
A lot of entrepreneurs feel that way. A lot of us, we just feel like, dude, this could just be done tomorrow.
Yeah.
These 3 things happen. I'm done. I'm out. Why do you feel that way though? Do you feel like this was just grown really quickly and you're worried that, well, if it grew quickly, it could probably disappear quickly? Or is that just a mentality you've had since you were a child?
I think hard to say like back to being a child. I didn't even know what entrepreneurship was until like 7 years ago. So I think it's a mentality though. It's never being comfortable and always like preparing for the worst. I guess like, yeah, if I go back to being a kid, like my dad and scouting and everything, it's like, just be prepared. That's literally the motto of scouting is be prepared. And so am I going to look out to the future and say, we're going to be at 100K at the end of the year? Like for sure, that's my goal, but I better be prepared for it to fall apart. And like, I always have a back pocket. Like, what am I going to do when this thing inevitably just everybody calls me on the same day to cancel, which my wife is like, she always reminds me like that won't happen, but it could, and it feels like it's just that close. And
Yeah.
like, that's a tough, frankly, that's taxing. And that's what I hate about it, is I'm like, we don't have a massive stockpile of cash in the bank, right? It's
Mhm.
massive compared to like where I was 2 years ago, but I'm not sitting on $500,000. If I was, I'd probably feel more comfortable.
I'll check in with you at Christmas. We'll see. We'll see when you're sitting on $500,000 at Christmas, how you feel. So segueing from that, you said you want to buy businesses. And I feel like every entrepreneur is jealous of somebody else because we all kind of think the grass is greener. As you sit here, like what businesses or what types of businesses are you the most jealous of right now?
Digital info product businesses seem like so rad,
Go on.
because it's just like you build it once and it's done. I actually, no, for rapid firing, let me give you like my 60-second like pitch on why I think what's like got my brain kind of turning right now is like, I think that education, now I just came out of an MBA program, mind you, right? I think that education over the next 10 years will boom online. And I think that the universities know that, and they're like shifting their university education, like getting a degree, to online. And then I think you've got like a like bottom feeder mentality, and like of course creators who just build like kind of crappy courses and sell. Like, I have a course right now that I've got a beta group in, like of how to start a digital agency, and like they're doing good. They are like they're doing. I've got like a handful of people in there doing a really good job. But with those courses, I don't know. It's not a great course.
What makes it not a great course if people are succeeding because of your course?
I don't know what makes it not a great course. It probably is an okay course.
Theoretically, what makes a good course?
I think what makes a good course is a good teacher and a good curriculum. And so like that's what the higher education system has, is like good teachers and good curriculum. Like curriculum. So actually I taught a class at BYU this past semester, and I had to come up with the syllabus. It was on acquisitions. I taught it with a buddy of mine, Richie. That was so hard. It was like building a curriculum was so hard. And showing up every week to teach that class and keep the class engaged was like really difficult. And so my thesis right now is that over the next 10 years, there will be a gap in the market where people want to upskill. And I know stuff exists around this today. It's not widely distributed enough. People want to upskill, and they're willing to spend $2,000 to $4,000 for a course, but that course is like professionally done, like professionally recorded with a professional curriculum developed. And it's not a university education, but it's not like James in his basement recording a video and putting it up on the course. It's just higher. And I think that will sell if you combine, like when you combine the high end education with the low, like what the high end education lacks is like the experience of I've done this and now I'm teaching it. And that's what the lower level has. It's like, I've done this, now I'm going to teach you how to do it. But inevitably people like hold back, and they're like, they just aren't good teachers. And so if you combine the two and you say, hey, here's the experience we've had, and this is why I'm qualified to teach this, and I'm going to combine it with like professional recording, professional curriculum development, and like a high level of engagement, like gamifying like the education, I think that you'll crush it.
I've let you take your rant. Now I'm going to respond to your rant. I think by saying what makes a good course is having a good teacher and a good curriculum is articulating what I think is wrong with higher education. Is that's what they focused on. They focused on the credentials of the professor, and they have focused on the curriculum. For me, the purpose of education is to help people learn so that they can then do. In my opinion, the way to judge a course is on the results of the students, not on the credentials necessarily of the teacher or the way that it looks or the way that it feels or the way that it sounds, but by whether or not the information that you communicated actually got to the end of the row and the people who you were teaching are then successful. I think everything else that you described is a marketing tool. Does it look good? Does it sound good? Do they have credentials? And that's what universities use, right? Like, well, our professors all have PhDs from Harvard, and look at this cool curriculum and look how great the school is. That's fine. But if the results aren't there and their students aren't performing post-course, what was the point of the course? Like, why did you pay the money for it? So I get what you're saying, and I get feeling like, man, my course sucks because it doesn't look good or because I don't have the flashy stuff or whatever. But if you've figured out a way to convey your knowledge to them so that they can then incorporate it and act on it, then you've got a good course. And I just encourage you to not feel like a bottom feeder just because it doesn't look good yet. That's the easy part, man. Making it look good and sound good, you just need a little bit of money and it will look good. But the curriculum getting communicated to those students and then them being able to act on it, that, in my opinion, is what defines a good course. So I do agree with you, though. I do agree that it's a growing industry. There's a lot of people who want to learn, not necessarily in the formal settings, but from people who are selling courses and info products. So I love it.
I'm going to give you a quick rapid fire. What's like a good success rate? I'm like in the thick of this. What would you say results? What's like a good success rate for a student? 25% of students being successful. And it depends on how you define success. But what I've seen is like people, they're the big risk in courses. Let's assume a course is like phenomenal, great content, great curriculum, maybe still like on the lower end. Like take my course, for example. If I get 10 people in there and it's great content, the risk becomes like personal risk, right? Like commitment risk. Right? Are these people paying $2,000 to get into a course thinking like that'll be the magic bullet, but like they realize, oh, I actually still have to work, and then 50% of them don't do anything. So what's a good success rate?
I'm going to answer that question. The short answer is 100%. The long answer is if you want to get to a place where you can actually sell courses, and this is my opinion, then you need to get to a place where you can afford the production value to go out and buy a bunch of paid ads to push the course. But in order to get to the place where you have the money, you've got to have credibility. So I think when you do your first course and you've kept it small, which is awesome, you need to handpick who's coming in and go above and beyond to make sure that they're successful. Do things that you're not necessarily going to do on later courses because you're going to learn what curriculum you need to add, but you're also then going to have testimonials, hopefully from 10 people that you can throw up on your website and that can say like, James was rad. This is what I learned from him. This is my company now. And this is what I'm doing that's successful. Because those testimonials will then feed the rest of you trying to sell other courses. So yeah, I mean, I'd love for it to be 100%. I would say above 50% to me would be a really, really successful course. If half of your students launched a business and they're making a living, then that's awesome. You have 5 testimonials of people so that when other people look at James Lincoln, they're like, oh, James is legit because I know Freddie did it and Freddie's super successful now. So I would just hyper focus on making sure their experience is exceptional and their results are exceptional and spend more time on it now than you would otherwise do maybe down the road, just so that you have the credibility to lean back on.
No, that's interesting. And actually, I think that would be kind of cool for courses. Maybe I'll like bake this in is like the higher education system of like, hey, 82% of our graduates like left with a job. It's like you boil it down to courses. It's like, hey, 46% of our graduate, like people that finish this course are making $8,000 a month, you know? And then people are going in eyes wide open to say like, oh, I got a 46% chance of making this work. And it's like just on me to make it work. You know, it's not like the course doesn't make it work.
I love it because, and then when you start like actually selling it later, you're coming from a perspective of, I know that this works. You're not just like a snake oil salesman. You're like, look, I did this. I taught this cohort. This was the success rate. I know if you follow XYZ steps, you have a more than 50% chance to be successful, period. And then the next time you do a course, you'll have better information to weed out the types of personalities who won't be successful, right? And so then you can sort of select the people who will be successful and have a weeding out process. But I love that answer. Here's last 2 questions. What are you obsessed with right now? If you have 2 hours in your day, you don't need to worry about work. You don't need to worry about family. They're gone. You can do whatever you want. What are you doing with those 2 hours?
I've been like pretty obsessed with fitness lately, like probably for the past like 7 months.
Okay. Sweet.
Yeah.
Good. That's a good answer.
Yeah. I think that like I'm getting too soft and I need to like find ways to push myself beyond what I think I can do. So like I'm training for an Ironman. I want to find some way to simulate like elite military training. I know there's like places out there you can go, but I just want to put myself through it and be like, can I do this? I don't know. Just like, can I push myself? I'm young enough that I'm like, I should be in like phenomenal shape and it'll just make me harder. So that's what I've been obsessed with.
That's a great answer, man. Last question. What advice would you give yourself 10 years ago?
Oh, that's funny. I actually just was sitting on the beach thinking about 10 years ago. So 10 years ago, I posted on Twitter about this, but 10 years ago, I was on a plane coming home from Brazil this month. I came home from an LDS mission in Brazil 10 years ago. And I was like, totally,
Bon dia.
yeah, bon dia. Yeah, I don't speak anymore. So don't test me. 10 years ago, I was like so scared about the future. I don't have anything ahead of me. I was just like terrified. And I was lacking any sense of perspective in like time. I was 20 years old. I was a kid, and it was like literally, I was like terrified. Like I came home terrified on that airplane. I'm like, this is the peak for me. And then I'm like, I was thinking about this. It just happened that like 10 years ago this month. And I was like sitting on the beach, and I'm like, man, if I could look back 10 years to myself and like tell me, hey, 10 years from now, you're going to be sitting on a beach in Hawaii with like your two beautiful daughters and your wife, and like you'll be running a business, I wouldn't have believed it. And so I think if I was the advice I'd give myself is just like be patient, and like don't stress. Just like live your life and be patient, and like time. I don't know. I'm still young, I'm 29, right? And so I'll be 30 this year. And I'm like,
Be patient.
be patient, and just
I love
let
that
time do
answer.
its thing.
It's a
Be
great answer.
patient, work hard. You still got to work hard, but yeah, be patient.
Well, James, this was rad. I'm glad you called in from Hawaii. I'm a little jealous, but where's the best place for people to find you?
I'm on Twitter, X, I guess. I'm on there. You can find me on LinkedIn. Find me anywhere. I'm pretty responsive. So yeah, just people can hit me up.
The name of your company again?
Goodly Growth.
Goodly Growth. Okay, cool, man. Well, this was rad. We'll talk soon.
Okay. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it, man.
I'll let you hop to your other call, but thank you. That was great. That was awesome. All right. That's it. Another one for the books. I'm fired up. I don't know what else to say. I hope you found something valuable in that conversation. I hope you learned something. I hope there's something that you can apply to your business today, tomorrow, in the future that makes you money, makes you more successful, gives you more time with your kids. If there was something, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Give me some feedback. And if you like actionable advice and you want more of this, I write a weekly newsletter that gives insights, tips, and tricks into the world of entrepreneurship. Subscribe in my bio. And if I can help you in any way in your entrepreneurial journey, don't hesitate to reach out to me, nick@cofounders.com. Sorry, Kelly, for more emails. And the last thing is, remember, curiosity is a superpower, and you can use it to your advantage. As my mom used to say, there's no such thing as a dumb question, only dumb people. We'll see you next time.